Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? It is Thursday, June 17. Welcome, good morning. Wow, look at those moves in the markets, huh? Look at those moves. Are we surprised? Once again, are we caught on the wrong side? Or did we call that? Pretty unbelievable. Yeah, pretty unbelievable. I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? Question: Did you guys, if you guys are members and signed up for the free newsletters, did you get your email this morning? Just curious. I sent it about a half an hour ago. I'd like to know, because I normally get a copy, but I did not see it in my inbox, and I'm just curious why. So let me know. Did you guys get it? The newsletter, email this morning? I sent it like 30 minutes ago. Anyways, let me know if you did or not. Very curious. Okay. Today's Throwback Thursday, so I hope you have some charts for us to look at. Any trades you're thinking about taking? Any charts of interest to you? Maybe you just want to double check some analysis that you did on your own charts. Let me know. Just send them in the chat. And if we could start by hitting the like button, that would be nice. We should get some serious likes on this video. After all of our forecasts the last couple weeks, I mean, damn. 78% of you made money on the analysis this week. That's awesome. 78%. That's pretty good. I think that deserves a like. What do you guys think, huh? You got the newsletter? That's good. Okay. So maybe it just didn't get sent to me for some reason. Interesting. Alright. So we'll let everybody else come in and start sending me your list of charts that you'd like to look. Okay. We'll also take a quick look, obviously, at the current situation in the markets. A little look. Not a long one, but okay. And see what's going on. And then tomorrow we'll do our wrap-up. But just quickly, you remember what we were talking about at the beginning of this week. And we detailed this in the EURUSD report for members about the potential for retracements, and not a good idea to get in long the euro at this point because of those potential retracements. Okay, so that is what we're seeing in the markets now, are those retracements, just as we had pointed out. A lot of traders were getting in long at the top of, then they reversed price and shot it downwards. So not too good. Not too good for those traders, but that's why you got to follow price and know what to look for. So let's take a look at some of 80% of you made money with the analysis. That's great. That is great. I love it. Good. Good to hear. Okay, so let's take a look at some of your requests. Can we look at pound US dollar? Yeah, we can do that. Let's look at the pound US dollar and see what's going on. There we go. Pound US dollar. Here it comes. Here it comes. All right, so we're seeing a drop in price, right? No surprise there. It's just like all the other markets, dropping in price. And we're contacting the ascending trend line on the weekly chart. So now, well, because when we look at these charts here, we can't really tell what is likely going to happen. Why? Because We don't have any specific areas of supply and demand that would meet our criteria for being areas where we would expect price to reverse from. Yes, we can draw supply and demand on the charts, and we can have a bunch of zones here and there, but that isn't trading. That's just trying to locate supply and demand. What is trading is knowing what areas of supply and demand are going to be used by the banks to reverse price. I mean, how else are you supposed to trade the markets unless you know where price is going to reverse from, right? Prices drop, and then if you want to go in long, what does that mean? It has to hit some area where price is going to reverse. So when we're looking at this chart, I don't see anything very specific, anything that would qualify for being a zone where price is going to reverse from. All right, so then what do we do in a situation like that? All right, if we don't have any specific area where price is going to reverse from, what can we do? So what we would do is we would look at the other markets and determine, based on what the other markets are doing, where price will likely reverse from on this chart. Okay, so we'd have to look at Euro US dollar, we'd have to look at gold, we'd have to look at the dollar to have a better understanding of what is likely going to happen with this chart. Okay, so as far as I see, what I'm seeing on this chart is nothing special. It's hitting the ascending trend line on the weekly chart, and could we get a bounce from there? Yeah, sure, we could. And we could also get price to drop, right? Price could drop from there as well. So that's a tough call. That's a tough call to determine what is going to happen on this chart. Okay? Could we end up seeing something like that? Sure. I don't know. I don't know. We have to wait and see. I do believe over a longer period of time that we're going to see price head to the upside. That's for sure. Pretty sure about that. But is that going to happen starting now? Is that going to happen a week from now? Who knows? Who knows? What I could tell you is that there's a very, very strong pressure from below the chart pushing and fueling price to the upside. That's what I can tell you. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Okay? We'll wait and see. But there's some updating that could be done here on this chart. And this. Downtrending. Downtrending. Okay, so 4-hour chart is downtrending. Let's do something here. The light system. So in terms of the light system, right? Go. Should we be waiting? This is how I would look at this right now. As for the monthly chart, I think the yellow light's on. Okay, the yellow light is on, saying, "Hey, listen, we had a lot of strength coming in, but we're kind of taking a break right now. We've already extended ourselves to the top, and right now we just want to take a little bit of a break." So that is what's taking place right now. As far as the weekly chart, we definitely have the uptrend in play, and we have a trend line being contacted. So it's technically a green, it's technically a go, but I would be very cautious. I'd be very cautious, okay? So I'd have to add some caution with this chart. Why? Well, because we're hitting a trend line, but just because we're hitting a trend line doesn't mean price is going to move up. That's something that you'll learn when you study what is really taking place on the charts, all right? Just because trend lines are contacted doesn't mean that price is going to react from them. Look at the daily chart. Look at this ascending trend line here, okay? Does price seem to care that there's a trend line right here? It doesn't seem to care that there's a trend line right there, right? Well, the reason being is because bigger things are happening on this chart. When bigger things are in play, smaller time frame objects are treated as if they're not even there. So you have to know when these objects will be respected and when they're not. So right now, price is coming down to that ascending trend line on the weekly chart. Yeah, it's being contacted. Is it going to be respected? That's a whole other story. I wouldn't put my money on it. Let's just put it that way. All right. I wouldn't put my money on it. Could it hold? Yes, it could, but I wouldn't put my money on it. Now, in terms of the daily chart, this is a red. Okay. Don't be making buying decisions off of this chart. That's how I see it. I wouldn't be making any buying decisions off of that. And same thing with the 4-hour. Wouldn't be making any buying decisions off of that either. So, and I wouldn't want to be going short, because you don't want to be going short up against a nice ascending trend line, because if the banks decide that they want to use that trend line to push price higher, then great, they're going to do it. And if you're going to go short off of a 4-hour downtrend into a weekly uptrend, probably not a good idea, because whatever happens on the higher time frame, it's going to take precedence over everything else that happens on any other time frame. All right. So that's what I'm seeing with the pound. Let me see what's next. USCAD. Sure. Let's take a look at USCAD. So we got that move to the upside, right? We were talking about this, weren't we? This is the move that we were talking about. Short-term move to the upside. All right, we had some obstacles here on the 4-hour chart, if you remember correctly. We had some obstacles here. And I said once these obstacles get taken out, so be it. It's going to be a move all the way up until we reach this area of supply. All right? So what took place? Take a look. Obstacles were removed, and what took place? Exactly what we were saying. Straight up. Okay? This is the power of understanding supply and demand based on what the banks are doing. Okay? This is the power of supply and demand, and understanding the dynamic of how price moves on the charts. Once you understand the dynamic of how price moves on the charts, then it's a simple thing to understand where price is going to go. Many times. And there were issues with looking at this chart, right? Because you remember what I was saying. You know, there were no trends on the monthly chart. Weekly trend was down. So this was a counter trend move. And so to be able to time a counter trend move can be extremely tricky. All right. We were just responding from a daily area of demand. So remember what we were saying, right? Based on daily demand being contacted, short-term move to the upside was expected. And 4-hour chart, short-term move was expected. All right. Short-term move to the upside was expected. So that took place, and that took place. All right. So now we are making contact with some supply, and that just happens to be right with the descending trend line on the weekly chart. All right, so here's the deal. Are the banks going to use the descending trend line to push price down and continue price to the downside, or are they going to remove this trend line and cause price to go up? This chart is very similar in the way that we have to approach it, like the pound US dollar, because we don't have the elements on the chart necessary for us to know with a high degree of certainty that price is going to continue to the downside. What we need is to observe other charts that have more indication of what price is going to do. So we look at the other charts and we correlate them with what we're seeing here and help us to determine where price is likely going to reverse from. Because as far as I see it right now, I would not be making short trade decisions based on what I'm seeing just on this chart. Okay? I mean, if I had to take a trade and I had no choice whatsoever, if I had to take a trade, I would wait for momentum to shift off this area of supply and take shorts. If I had to take a trade, that's what I would do. But, as when I'm looking at how far price has already penetrated into this daily area of supply. I'm not a fan of that. All right, because what I know to be true is if the banks are going to penetrate their supply very, very deeply, then it typically means they're not going to hold it. Sometimes they do, but most of the times they're not. And I have to make my trading decisions and my analysis decisions based on what normally happens, you know. So I'm waiting on this chart because once again, when you look at the monthly chart right now is caution, right? There's no downtrend. Price moved down very quickly. Well, not very quickly, but if you take a look at how many candles it took to get down there, it was not many candles from the highs of a buck 40 to the lows of a buck 20. All right, so it's extended to the downside. Now we're seeing some strong pressure to the upside, which is what we were expecting. How much is this going to continue? So we're dealing with one of those situations again where the banks are coming in with live trading, right? We determined that they were going to reverse and push price up. Factors, the COT report data, the chart analysis from all the other markets, and what was in play on the charts, supply or demand. And so this move to the upside took place. Now how far of a move to the upside? Are they going to hold this weekly trend to the downside? Potentially. Could they break it? Yes, they could also break it. Because again, what we're seeing on the weekly chart is not exactly what we would want to see in order to determine if price was going to go down from exactly this spot. So caution, okay? Caution for that chart. On the weekly chart, is it telling us that price wants to go lower? Yes. The weekly chart's telling us that price wants to go lower, but we got to be, with some caution. Okay? So we wouldn't want to just short based on the weekly chart without having, other things happening on the other charts to ensure that move to the downside was going to take place. So I'm going to be patient with this because I do want to engage in shorts again. But as far as where price is now, I'm not interested. I'm going to let it play out and then determine later if the chart signals are presented, then I'll get in. If the chart signals do not get presented, then I will not get in. All right, so that's basically USCAD. You got the newsletter 2 minutes before 9? Yeah, that depends. Some email servers, they send out the emails a little bit later. But you guys know we're here every morning at 9 a.m. anyway, so. Let's take a look at the Euro US dollar, you said? Sure, let's do it. Let's do it. Euro US dollar. Okay. So, nice drop in price. Very significant drop. We were expecting a drop. We got signals quite early that price was going to drop up in this area here. And so we were able to exit out of a long position that we had there at just a small profit. The chart was signaling that price wanted to go up. The chart was signaling that momentum was there to go up. So the Euro US dollar was telling us it was a go, except for one thing which I pointed out to students. When we're looking for certain structures, we want it to be strong, right? And as you can see here on the chart, I had this labeled as a weak uptrend. And there's certain things that we're looking for when we're looking for an uptrend. We want it to be strong and be able to be supported by the banks. If it's not going to be supported by the banks, then it's not such a strong uptrend. So the signal was there to get in long. We got in. But immediately after we got in, when price started to play to the upside, we recognized that they weren't creating the specific chart formation that we would typically see if they were going to continue pushing price to the upside. So lo and behold, based on what we were seeing there, we noticed that that lack of proper structure was likely going to cause price to start heading lower. So that is what took place. Price is starting to head lower now. And as I mentioned in the latest EURUSD report, we got to let price fall, all right? Because right now, this is live time trading from the banks, all right? Remember we talked about how the banks create the map on the charts? Once they create the map on the charts, we just read the map and we know what they are likely going to do with price. So when they're creating a map, you know, how I look at it is similar to something like this, okay? So when they're creating a map, basically what I'm seeing is they're saying, okay, here's price right here, and we want to get to all the way up here, okay? And how we're going to do that, and they're doing this on each time frame. Each time frame they're doing this, okay? So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, we're going to buy here. And we're going to bring price to about this area here before we drop it. And then eventually it'll come up through here. But then when it reaches this area here, it's going to drop again. All right? So price will come up, drop, and then eventually make its way like this, right? So we look at a higher time frame chart and we see a map like this. Now we got to take all the other time frame charts and look at their maps, because their maps will have very similar information on them. They'll be telling us areas where they're thinking of buying, areas where they want to take profits. And so we have to look at each individual time frame and look at each individual map and determine how price is going to move from all of those maps and how they play a role in each individual map from each individual time frame above it. So if we're looking at a 4-hour chart, we're looking at the map and we're figuring out how does that map play a role in the daily charts map. And how does the daily charts map play a role in the weekly charts map? And how does the weekly charts map play a role in the monthly charts? And if you can figure out the sequence of events that's going to take place on each of those maps, then you will figure out how they are going to get price from down here all the way up here. Okay? It's like a puzzle. It's like trying to figure out a puzzle. And it's a wonderful thing. It's an amazing thing. It's incredible. Because once you get good at solving the puzzle and figuring out the puzzle, it's like all you got to do is figure it out, sit back and watch. And lo and behold, you'll see price continue to play out just as you had suspected. So in terms of the euro US dollar, what did we say? That there's a good chance it was building pressure to the upside. Why? Because the map was saying so. They were creating a map that was saying, we want to push price higher. But the map was giving us clues that it was likely going to end up breaking. There was a chance. That chance was strong that it was going to break. So we got involved because the map was saying, hey, we're going north. But it was also cautioning us. So we got in, we played it cool, we waited for it to play out. It didn't play out. We ended up getting out with no loss to the portfolio. And so afterwards, when we saw that this structure was going to break on the daily chart, we immediately concluded that if it was breaking the structure, they were going to drop price. And that's exactly what took place. They dropped price. Now the question is, how far are they going to drop price? Now here's the thing. We're looking at the maps, right? Just as I was saying, we're looking at the maps and what do we see? They are not giving us any clue at this point what price is going to do. All right? So we need them to create and add to the map because the map has got question marks right now. All right? That's how I look at it. The map has got question marks. The monthly has question marks. The weekly has question marks, and the daily has question marks. Let's not even worry about the 4-hour right now. That chart will come into play once momentum starts to build in a certain direction. Then we'll focus on the lower time frame. Right now, we should not even be looking at the 4-hour chart because it can do just about anything, all right? So because there's question marks, we don't want to get involved, all right? You can toss a dart on this chart and say, all right, price is going to reverse from there, but that's not the way to trade like a professional. We want to know what the banks are doing. I could make estimates. I can give out forecasts of what I think is going to happen, but they would just be based on my experiences and my hunches. And to be professional, you don't want to just be basing your trading decisions off of that. You want to see hard evidence. So I'm looking at this. I'm waiting for them to create the map. Wait for them to show their cards. Because right now they're covering their cards and they're making moves. And we don't see what their cards are. All right? Price is dropping. Let it drop. You know, we talked about on the higher time frames that we have a significant amount of demand coming into this market. That's building pressure to the upside. I believe we were also looking at the Euro US dollar COT data, and we were seeing that they were buying. Okay? So if they are focused on buying, and we do have higher time frames telling us that price wants to go higher, then our job is to sit and wait, okay? We don't want to just get in and jump in. Let price drop. Let them start to create that map. Let them start to show us, hey, we're buying now. Hey, look, these downtrends, we're going to start breaking these downtrends. Look, these trend lines, they're starting to not be respected anymore. Let them show us what they're up to. Once they show us what they're up to, then we have a nice clean map of what price is going to do. When we have that, then we pounce. But for now, I'm not pouncing on this. I'm just going to sit in the sidelines and wait for them to do what they need to do. All right, so that's how I feel about the euro. It's pretty much right there, right, for us to see. Let me see. Let me just take a sip of my water. Let's see. You got the new. Okay, that EU move was crazy. Yeah, that move to the downside. But this is what we were talking about, right? So it's nice to see after. Paul Gardy, good morning, my friend. We have made serious money these past couple days. Holy crap. Yeah, well, those were the moves that were expected based on what we were seeing. So it played out to perfection. Let's see. It came to you 4 minutes ago. Oh, that's late. Maybe I'll start sending out those newsletters. Let's see. Pound yen. You want to look at? Okay, I didn't get the newsletter. You didn't. Oh, Paul didn't get the newsletter. All right. So there's something going on. Sometimes people get newsletters. Sometimes they don't. Why do you still think that uptrend in euro will continue and this is just retracement? Why do I think? Well, I kind of spoke about that. There is no uptrends right now. Okay, there's no uptrends. When we're thinking about direction for the euro US dollar right now, green is up, red is down, and let's say blue is neutral. Right now, monthly chart is blue. Weekly chart is blue. Daily chart probably heading lower. 4-hour chart probably heading lower. If I had to give you an indication right now. But price could reverse from exactly where it is right now too on the euro. There's a good chance of that. There's evidence to suggest that price could start heading up from this area as well. I'm not making my trading decisions off of just these 4 charts. It's the COT reports, it's the higher time frames, it's the rest of the markets. I'm looking at everything as a whole. And the whole market works together. There's no one element that's on its own doing its own thing. All of the Forex currency markets, gold and oil, they're all working together. one doesn't make a move without the other ones making a counter move. It's pretty much all working together. So you can't be just focused on one chart. You got to look at the whole market as a whole to determine what's the bigger picture. Because remember, these retracements, they were tough to see. All right? Not a lot of people were counting on these retracements. All right? Very few people. Gold, the drop in gold, who was talking about gold dropping? I don't think I saw anybody talking about gold dropping from those highs. But how were we able to know that? The chart wasn't giving us anything very specific to know that it was going to drop. Again, it was looking at all the markets as a whole. If all the markets are saying, hey, we're going to retrace, then why would you think anything different is going to happen with gold? All right? It wouldn't, something different wouldn't happen. So if everything is correlated, then it leads you to suspect that gold will likely drop. And so that's how we would know. So I believe this is a retracement from what we are seeing in the overall markets. If evidence suggests different at any point, because remember, there's certain times in the markets where the banks are creating the map. So if they create a map that tells us a completely different story than what the map was saying a week ago, then we have to change our analysis, right? That's the important thing. Well, that's one of the key things that we do at the school. We can change our analysis on a dime. Why? Because if the banks are telling us something different, we're not going to be stuck on what they were telling us last week. If they're telling us we're going to take price up last week, we'll believe them. But if this week they're going to tell us that they're going to take price down, then we're going to believe them. We believe whatever they do because they move the markets. If they show us on the charts what they're doing, then we're going to believe them. Why? Because they're doing it. That's why. Because they're doing it. So, and we'll change on a dime because we're looking for the evidence from them. See, the problem with most trading strategies, they don't take things like that into consideration. They just have a strategy. It does the same thing all the time, but they have a hard time recognizing, well, they won't even recognize until it's too late when there's big dynamic shifts in the market. We can call that dynamic shift when it's happening. Just like the euro on the daily chart dropping, we knew exactly when it was likely going to start dropping, okay? Because of what we were seeing, the signs on the daily chart. So, could this drop further? Yes. I won't believe it until they show me hard evidence that that is what's going to happen. Right now, I don't have that evidence, so I cannot believe that. So I believe that this is going to be some kind of a retracement until they start to reaccumulate and fuel up on some more long positions and then continue heading higher. That is what I suspect will happen. Again, they're creating the map right now, so I have to wait and see so that I know for certain that that's going to take place. But from what I'm seeing with respect to all the other markets, it's likely that that's going to happen. All right, so let's see gold. Somebody wants to see gold. Pound yen. Morning. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for your work. I appreciate your time and effort. No problem. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Why do you still think uptrend? Yeah, we talked about that. Fundamentals facilitated this dollar strength move. Fundamentals normally lure traders in the wrong directions. Yeah, agree. Didn't receive newsletter, just letting you know. All right, thanks, Andrew. I want to... You want to backtest fundamental forecasts one day? You should. Yeah, you could forward test. Start paying attention now with what the fundamentals come out and say, what they suggest, and then look at the charts and see. And you'll see for yourself. How crazy. Would you advise someone using 4-hour, 15-minute sequence? Listen, the sequence that we talk about in school and that we teach, it's extremely powerful because you can apply what you notice between the relationship between the monthly, weekly, daily 4-hour chart is the same relationship between the daily 4-hour, 1-hour, 15-minute chart. It's the same relationship, all right? If the time frames are spaced out in the same with the same ratios or similar ratios, then the relationship in between each chart is going to be the same. Okay? That's big, 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 what I just shared with you. That's huge. So you can take what you learn about the relationship between monthly, weekly, daily chart and apply it to the weekly, daily, 4-hour or the daily 4-hour, 1-hour. All right. It's the same thing. You just have to get really good at knowing where price is going to start making moves. Like right now, would you want to be looking at a 15-minute chart and looking for short trades, for instance? Probably not a good idea. Could they work? Yeah, sure, they could work, but it's probably not a good idea. Why? Because a big move just happened, and we're sitting inside demand, but on a higher time frame chart. If you're going to try to locate a reversal on a 15-minute chart from something that is in play on like a weekly chart, you're going to find a lot of false moves. So I would stay clear from doing stuff like that. All right, because you have to know where in the sequence you can come in and play your 50-minute charts. All right, so that's what I would do. Let's see. Higher late would advise. Okay, today's session is a definite session to watch multiple times. This is not easy, but it is effective. It takes a lot of experience. Yeah, very effective. It's the most effective thing I've ever seen when it comes to being able to determine where price is going to go. Lag, 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 lag every 10 seconds. Yeah, there is a little bit of a lag. Sorry, I live out in the middle of the woods and up on a big hill overlooking a lake. I moved out of the city to get some peace and quiet and give me solitude in my life. And unfortunately, the internet providers out here, they can only provide me with so quick a speed. So there's going to be a little bit of a lag. But unfortunately, that's just one of the things that you're going to have to put up with to receive this information. So I hope it's worth it for you. I hope so. Okay, so let's move on to, let's see, how about one more? How are we doing on time? Let's see, pound yen, right? You guys want to look at? So let's look at pound yen. So we got a little bit of weakness in the pound, but we're also getting weakness with the yen, right? Yeah. So this price is going to stall out. So it doesn't make for big movers. When you got two pairs that are both weak or both strong, you're not going to get a lot of movement. So what am I seeing here is price shifted momentum on the 15-minute chart, or sorry, on the 4-hour chart right here. Right there as price was contacting supply. And now price is moving to the downside. So there's not really much to see here. I still believe over the long term, very long term, we're going to get price to continue moving upwards. That's what I see. Okay? But there's going to be these retracements that are going to take place. So that's pretty much all there is to see. We're hitting that ascending trend line on the daily chart. And what else? There's nothing really else to see here. It all comes down to which currency is going to be weaker, pound or yen. Well, who knows? We looked at the pound chart. It was dropping to the trend line. Could it drop further? Yes, it could. Could it rally? Yes, it could. So I would just wait. Right now is not a good time to really determine what is going to take place on these charts. Let's just wait and be patient. All right. We'll get to the rest of your questions and then we'll wrap things up. Let's see what we got here. Hit the like button again. I think I only see, 31 likes? Guys, come on, man. We've had at least 70 people at the same time in this room. Just move your mouse over there, click that little like button. I would appreciate it. All right? I would appreciate it. This analysis was dead on. How many of you did I save from getting into trades? Probably some of you, right? Probably some of you were thinking, I want to go long here and there, and you thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Kev is saying it's likely not going to continue. So if you saved the buck from not taking a losing trade, it's worth hitting the like button, wouldn't it be? How crazy is that the Fed speaks about the dollar and euro goes down at the same time institutions position them since 2 weeks? Yeah, exactly. How is that? Well, if you start paying attention to those things, look at how the institutions are positioning themselves. Look at what it is that they need these moves to facilitate. And then when you see the news, it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they say. The markets will always move based on what was the plan for price regardless. When you know what the map is, when they create the map, you read the map, you're like, oh, so they're going to push price up to here, and then they're going to drop price down to here, and then they're going to reverse it there and go up. How are they going to do that? How are they going to help facilitate that? And then you watch the news and you're like, oh, how funny. They come out with all this news that helps to facilitate exactly what was on the map. Okay? So that's why you will come to realize it doesn't matter what they say in the news. What matters is the map that they create on the charts. Period. Really is. Kev, can I ask a question? Don't we have a more aggressive trend line on the H4? Not too sure. Check the observation journals and we'll have those updated for all the students. And I know you are a student. All right. So I think we're good. What do you guys think? Think we're good? I think we're good. Thanks for the likes. If you haven't hit the like button, go over there and hit it now. I'm going to be updating these charts and updating the observation journals for the school. For all the members that are at the school, you can go to the observation journals and get all the updated charts and analysis. Tomorrow is Friday. We do a session tomorrow morning, and then I'll start working on the EURUSD report, breaking down what's likely going to be taking place based on the positions and all that good stuff. So thanks again for joining me. I'll wait a little bit longer to see if you have any other questions. If you do, let me know. And if you don't, then that's cool too. All right? But I'll stick around a little bit longer and see if you guys have anything. Euro Japanese yen 2. Entries for longer term longs. Yeah, we've talked about that in the watch list. And we've done some videos too about the Euro Japanese yen. Talked about where we think price is going to drop down to. And then once it gets down there, yeah, we're probably going to see price continue to the upside. Very likely. Especially when you're doing, the analysis on all the pairs, and you're looking at what the cross pairs are telling us. The cross pairs hold a lot of information in regards to what we can expect with the majors, right? Strength or weakness. So, and we've done that analysis on the cross pairs before. We have a strong indication of what is going to take place. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like you don't have any other questions, so that's good. We'll wrap things up, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you. All right. Okay, everyone. How crazy is that the Fed speaks about the dollar and euro goes down at the same time institutions position them